Welcome to the Are You Future Ready podcast. Are you curious about technology, innovation, and how you can stay ahead? Then you've come to the right place. In our series, we tap into the minds of people behind innovation. This podcast is brought to you by LR's Product Development and Innovation Center.
Hi, I'm Linda Gharib, Director of Brand and Communications at Wolters Kluwer, based in New York City, and your host of the Are You Future Ready podcast. Today, we'll talk about innovation, trends, and tips on what you can do to become future ready with our guests, Holger Zscheyge, Managing Director at Infotropic Media and President of the European Legal Tech Association, also known as Elta, joining us from Moscow, Russia, and Grégoire Miot, Head of New Markets at Wolters Kluwer and an Elta board member, who is joining us from Paris, France today. Welcome to the podcast, Holger and Greg.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Great. So let's go ahead and get started. One of my favorite parts of the podcast is to hear about the different unique career journeys from each of my guests. So if you don't mind, if you'd please share with us a bit about your background before we get started and what you do in your current role today.
Okay, my career in professional publishing started in 1995 when a friend and I traveled to Moscow to explore the market for Wolters Kluwer. And we started operations there in 1996. And I worked for Wolters Kluwer and CH Beck, a German legal publisher, until 2009. And then started my own company, Infotropic Media. And since 2015, I became more and more involved in legal tech and legal innovation, mainly by organizing events and educational courses, speaking myself, and so on. And I'm part of the legal hackers community, and together with Greg, work on the board of the European Legal Technology Association.
I have a mostly legal background. I graduated from a Bachelor and Master of Laws in Paris and was hired afterwards, after my LLM, as a foreign attorney in Mexico City, where I spent a couple of years. And this allowed me also to connect with the legal tech world in the US. It was back in 2011. And as connecting law and technology was a real obsession during my studies, I eventually left Mexico to launch my own business for legal tech projects, and also led afterwards the subsidiaries of an international media group for digital services for legal professionals, and then joined Legisway in the context of its acquisition by Wolters Kluwer. That was in 2018. And then I'm now working for the French legal software team at Wolters Kluwer, and part of my job is also to entertain, to talk to the market. So I'm also contributing to several events and as guest lecturer at universities and bar schools, and I'm also very much involved. Also, I'm very happily with Elta now for a bit more than a year, and now with being part of the board, and also with the World Commerce and Contracting as a council member for automation and emerging technologies.
Thanks, Greg. I know that both you and Holger are members of the European Legal Tech Association that recently collaborated on the Global Legal Tech Report. What are some of the key insights you can share with us?
Yes, well, first, Elta, I must say, is really an amazing organization. We are already covering 22 countries with local ambassadors and a network of over 5,000 members from 43 countries. So we're very fortunate with Holger to be part of this new board for the next 2 years with really exciting projects ahead. One of our goals, is also to provide more clarity regarding the legal tech offer on the market. And our contribution to the Global Legal Tech Report allowed us to identify a bit more than 250 legal tech actors all over Europe. And the next step of this survey is also to keep collecting data to make it available more broadly to legal professionals. It was actually an Australian initiative, and we collaborated with them to cover mostly the European area.
Great. And Holger, from your perspective, were there any aspects of the report that were surprising to you?
Well, they were very surprising. According to the report, 84% of legal tech startup founders come from the legal industry and 75% have programming skills. And frankly, I didn't expect such a strong correlation. I don't know, maybe it's a false positive, but well, I'm not a lawyer myself by education, but I always had the impression that lawyers are not so very prone or proficient in programming, but the report states otherwise, which is good. And another interesting tidbit is that the top 5 categories of legal tech in Europe are the usual suspects: CRM, practice management, and so on. But number 6 is knowledge management, and that's different from most of the other regions in the Global Legal Tech Report. The regions that the GLT are researched, so that might be something to look into. Why knowledge management has such a prominent position in Europe.
And also maybe one interesting aspect also is the fact that among the different challenges identified by the respondents, a very vast majority identified that the COVID-19 was obviously a major challenge, and at the same time an accelerator to transition to more modern solutions for legal professionals. Yet in the top 3 of the most impactful challenges, they also had long sales cycles, and that's interesting in different aspects also, because obviously we are addressing a serious need that the legal market has right now, but some of these actors actually might not last till then, with very long sales cycle and a very challenging period. The market is still going through a lot of concentration around bigger legal solution providers, and obviously the shape of the legal tech market is really rapidly changing now.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Pre-COVID, we were hearing a lot about all of the latest shiny technologies and buzzwords like blockchain, artificial intelligence. Today, there seems to be more of a focus on driving efficiency and practical outcomes. What are you seeing from your perspective?
Well, one of the main impacts of the COVID-19 is, in my opinion, the epiphany that legal professionals had regarding their perception of legal tech. Really, the past 9 months really looked like a black light scrutiny of their digital processes, really to reveal every single flaw that could exist. And now they have a much more precise understanding of what they need, and it is our responsibility as a solution provider to come with a very clear explanation of what we do. In other terms, it is some kind of a distress signal that we are getting from the market to really address what they need in a very pragmatic way. In a previous podcast, Atul Dubey mentioned the fear of being disrupted, and I very much agree with this. It is really our role as a major actor to stop the ambiguity brought by many legal tech providers, feeding the fantasy around AI replacing lawyers and all this, and to really give legal professionals the kind of serenity and visibility over technology they use, so otherwise others will just do it for us.
Yeah, I can only underscore what Greg said. The use of technologies to practice law has suddenly become a necessity. So before COVID, it was just, okay, we might look into it and we don't really need it, but let's use some shiny objects like artificial intelligence. Well, a lot of innovation in the sector was more innovation by press release. So you buy an AI-based product and then you send out a press release that whatever law firm is now using a contract review based on AI, or we employed the first artificial lawyer and so on and so on. But it was not a real commitment. But now you sit at home. Most of lawyers are working from home now, and they have to use technologies. They already probably had, and everybody probably had Microsoft Teams or Zoom on their computers, but they just didn't think it's feasible to consult a client via Zoom. But now they have to do it, and it's becoming more and more a necessity. So people are looking for real-life solutions, not something shiny with blockchain and AI in it.
Are you starting to see less appetite for experimentation, or do you feel it's about the same?
Well, I would say it's now down to earth. You have an immediate need for technologies you can use right away. You have to use, because you're again working from home, and you have to use technologies. You have to log into servers and so on. And probably it's not the time to experiment now, because everybody is under extreme pressure, and that's not the time where you go to experiment and say, okay, let's try this, let's try that. Most of the law firms and legal departments, they are now looking for solutions they can employ out of the box and solve a real life problem. I guess that's it's not the time to experiment. Yeah.
Correct, and they're really looking for really efficient productivity tools right now. This shift in their perception of legal technology also is also making them much more keen into solutions where they can see a real ROI right away. It has to provide something, and they're really looking for solutions providing them with a real advantage and saving more time. They're all working as firefighters right now, and for the past 9 months, it's been really crazy for most legal departments and lawyers and law firms as well. So it has to be immediately efficient, really hands-on, and really plug and play, as Holger said.
On that point, for many firms, the billable hour model is working well, right? As you mentioned, longer hours, and there hasn't been really a lot of incentive to change, whereas innovation, it usually is associated with doing things more efficiently and in a new way. Why change something that works?
Well, there's a short answer. If you don't change it, somebody will. So frankly, business will always look for a better process, a better way to make or save money. And Susskind addressed this problem for the legal industry when he said that it is hard to tell a room of millionaires that their business model is wrong. And I can understand it. For most of the law firms, the billable hours still works, unfortunately. But that's a matter of time. So if you look at other industries, how dramatically they change their business models under pressure: travel, entertainment, retail, communications. So nothing lasts forever. And a recent study by McKinsey found that the average lifespan of companies listed in the S&P 500 today is less than 18 years. That's not a lot of time. So in 7 years, 75% of the companies listed today in the index will have disappeared. So it's changes happening, and changes happening at an ever faster pace. So you don't have a lot of time. If you feel safe today, it's just because you're living in a bubble. So the legal industry is living in a little bit of a bubble. So I guess we all have seen probably the image of the frog in the boiling pot, and temperature rising suddenly and over a couple of years, and people are not getting the impression something is changing. But from outside the industry, the change is coming, and it's coming quickly.
And are you seeing any differences in how smaller and larger enterprises are approaching innovation?
Well, yes. All companies are actually approaching innovation in a very common way right now for one reason, which is to have a more pragmatic approach of their investments in legal technology. Yet what we see is actually how a bit they envision innovation itself. Although we are the ones that are really selling technology, I often recall to our clients, that to legal professionals and more widely, that really the innovation engine relies on three main cogs: the people, the process, and the technology, in that specific order. And picking technology before identifying the process we want to address will not work, as much as if you're trying to change processes without dealing with people first. So technology is a very powerful engine if we put it in the right place. But right now, what they are expecting is really a different way of dealing with legal information. So we're a bit back to the basics. we don't have any more requests of really huge fantasies around technology and implementing AI before having just a document automation system. It's really much more about being efficient. Now, collaboration is key, especially right now, and for larger companies, it's a huge challenge to make sure information remains available for everyone, and at the same time being sure that we have a proper transition and a smooth and seamless way of working with an organization. So we have somehow a similar approach for small and bigger companies, yet the challenge of collaboration is really huge for larger enterprises.
Well, why I just a short remark. What I see is small ones are quicker, much quicker, but larger plan more meticulously. So I wouldn't say any one approach is right. It's just a matter of the size of the corporation. So that's the main difference I see.
Well, the reluctance we saw for the past few years regarding legal technology, either for law firms or in-house legal departments, really evolved in the past year, at least the past 9 months. Really, it was a huge accelerator, and most of the legal professionals that thought that legal tech was a trend back then are now very much convinced that it's just how it's supposed to be. And well, I mean, we've seen legal tech solutions since the late 90s, and the term was coined only 15 years later. So legal tech has been around for a while already, and the need has always been there. So it's always about just addressing the market with really relevant solutions right now, and providing really a clear message regarding how we can help them be more productive. It's just not about the fantasy of being replaced by robots or whatever.
So a lot of this, whether small or large companies, it sounds like a lot of change in the way you're doing different things day to day. So with that, I'd like to pivot a little bit to our next section where we talk a little bit about how do you stay on top of all of this change? And would love to hear from each of you on how you continue to learn to stay on top of the latest trends and innovation in the market, you know, what's coming today, anticipating what's coming in the future. Holger, do you want to start?
Yeah, well, obviously you have to get a grip on that vast amount of information, professional information that's coming your way in legal tech, legal innovation. There's so much to process, to filter, and that's a challenge. And apart from that, so I read a lot, most of it blogs, journals, I listen to podcasts and so on. You really, if you want, you get a lot of information, and most of it is free of charge, which is good. And outside of that, I'm always interested to a little bit to extend your horizon, to look into other fields, because that gives you sometimes a different perspective. Yeah, so good to get out of that bubble, even if you're not a lawyer like me. The time you spend, you tend to live in the legal tech bubble. So you think legal tech is the only solution, but technology is only a means to an end. What one of the first speakers on the first legal tech conferences in Moscow said, if you have chaotic processes, the only thing legal tech will do is automate your chaos. So there's a lot more to legal technology or legal innovation, and if you could sometimes get out of your field of expertise and look into other areas, you find probably some unique solutions you never would have thought of if you wouldn't have looked into, say, astrophysics or biology.
Likewise, actually, there are only a very few really insightful journalists and sources of information for legal technology, and we have great online influencers with Load Sites and with Bob Embraji, Artificial Lawyer and Legal Business, and many of them, and really insightful podcasts as well. What I like very much is actually challenging ideas with other legal tech enthusiasts. Elta is a great network of such legal tech enthusiasts. Obviously, I have my own sparring partners in terms of legal tech ideas, so we can actually exchange a couple of things and evolve also in the way we perceive things. Working also on webinars and things like this also help actually think about what we are, the way we perceive also the legal industry. It's not only about how the market is perceiving us and the legal tech providers, it's also about how we are also understanding how the needs of the market are actually evolving. And also interesting, as Holger said, to also take some time, just take a step back and look at what is happening elsewhere. And the fintech also industry is very interesting in that sense, also because it's also much bigger than what we have with the legal tech environment, and how all the financial actors are also dealing with technology, and just seeing that huge companies like JP Morgan are investing 10% of their revenues in technology is actually an interesting signal also for legal professionals.
For some of our listeners, would love for you to share a little bit more about Elta. Some of them may not be established thought leaders like yourself and just really starting out in the profession. What advice would you give someone like that who's looking to get involved with Elta?
Well, Elta is really a fantastic group of legal tech enthusiasts, and anyone who's willing to really challenge ideas and contribute to this clarity the market needs in terms of legal technology solutions being offered globally is more than welcome to join. It's really an association with a fantastic network. I couldn't imagine actually we could have so many different areas, so many different countries covering so many different needs with really dynamic local markets from Bulgaria to Hungary to Sweden, Italy and Spain. So really a fantastic network of insightful people. So interesting to have more people joining us to contribute to this project. Holger, well, as the president, you should have actually your role.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody is welcome. Please join us. There are a lot of Elta is a unique network. Probably no other legal tech association covers such an amount of different countries, different cultures, and different approaches even to legal tech, legal innovation. So everybody is very much welcome to join, work with us. There will be a lot of new projects coming your way, and everybody is needed to help in that regard. Because there's a lot of work to do to promote legal technology in the European legal communities. So please join us.
Great. And before letting you go today, what advice would you give to listeners who are looking to become future ready?
Well, personally, I love this quote from Steve Jobs during its famous commencement address at Stanford, where he said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." I believe being future ready is a lot about remaining hungry and foolish in the way we deal with innovating and actually changing and just bringing more innovation to our organization. So innovation does not come just naturally. It's a continuous, challenging process. It's not just about deploying another piece of technology in our organization. It's deeper than that.
Yeah, I second that. And especially in those scary times, you have to remind people that they don't have to be afraid of the future. There's nothing scary about the future. If you look at the last couple of decades, life in general is becoming better for humankind. And I hope that this trend will continue. I'm sure that this trend will continue. It's in our hands, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Maybe one thing you should be always afraid of, that somebody's coming around who is more innovative than you. That's always a possibility, because people are ingenious and like to change things for the better. So keep keep innovating.
Holger and Greg, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast and speaking with us today. We look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for listening to the Are You Future Ready podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode and make sure to subscribe to our Wolters Kluwer channel on SoundCloud.